I'd rather just sing.
Stop that. You're not going into a song while I'm here.
I hate the term objectively, and it's because 99% of the time, whenever you hear someone say, I don't know, this movie is an objectively terrible dumpster fire, I don't know why I played Joker 2 footage over that. Oh, that was a strange editing choice. But what it almost always means is they hated the film, but lack the self-awareness to realise they hated it for subjective reasons. It's such an abused term that to say it is borderline synonymous with bad commentary. That is why it pains me to say Joker 2, Folie à Deux is an objectively terrible musical, and I'm about to earn that use of the O word, because every conceivable rule around musical storytelling, this film broke it. And not the good kind of rule breaking where it's some strange Christopher Nolan-esque avant-garde experiment, more so the U-Bowl, how does this man still have a career kind of rule breaking. In case you couldn't tell, this video is going to be pure savagery. I'm not holding anything back today because I despise this movie again. And it's time to rip it apart for your amusement. For the record, hi, I'm Henry, and on this channel I make videos all about the craft of writing stories, not music. If you want a nitty-gritty breakdown of like chord progressions and leitmotifs, this video isn't about that. It's instead about the integration of musical numbers into a story. You can write the catchiest tune of the year. If it doesn't actually click with the musical's larger story, you've done a bad job. But tell you what, let's kick things off with a bit of a hot take of mine, because I think Joker 2 being a musical was not a bad decision. What? It's just how every decision they made after that one was. A Joker musical isn't as crazy an idea as it sounds. Most Joker incarnations, they're so off the wall, so zany, such a larger-than-life character, assuming the guy playing him can actually, sing, is perfect for a musical. Like, come on, if you can't imagine Joker singing about something insane and it being hilarious, you're not really trying.
I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
You want proof of concept? There's a sequence in Arkham Knight where Joker serenades Batman, and basically everyone loved it.
Barbara's dead and I'm laughing. Jason Todd's dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm even dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do?
It could perhaps start with us seeing Joaquin's Joker as he was at the end of film 1, and we follow him as he falls deeper and deeper into insanity, becoming even more of a comic book Joker, and that's when the musical numbers start coming out. A Joker musical really could have worked. So why didn't it? Well, there are lots of reasons why this is just an abysmal movie. We have Arthur reverting to exactly how he was at the start of film 1, invalidating his entire character journey in that film.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture.
It is the slowest paced comic book movie I have ever seen. Like, even Fant Four Stick wasn't this bad. But let's put all of that to one side. Today we're not tearing apart everything the film did wrong, we're analysing this just as a musical. Tell you what, let's start at the most elementary level. Whenever you watch musicals on stage or the screen, there is a universal thing good numbers do. They add to the story. And I know that sounds basic, and that's because it is, but good numbers serve some kind of purpose. It could be external, such as plot occurring. This could be Jean Valjean being released from prison.
Now, prisoner 24601, your time is up and your parole's begun.
It could be internal, such as a character thinking things through and reaching epiphanies.
I can't allow myself to have any doubt. It's time to set my worries free.
It could even be delivering exposition.
There's just a lot you simply got to know. So, welcome to the family, Madrigal.
There are lots of ways a number can be justified, but whatever the case, it must serve purpose. Now we've established that, in Joker 2 feels like a doo-doo, Joker 2 Folie à Deux, what purpose do any of the music numbers actually serve? Well, let's break it down. What does the first song do?
For once I have someone I know won't desert me, and I'm not alone anymore.
Gotcha. It's Arthur telling us he's smitten with Harley and doesn't feel alone. Okay, and the next one?
I'm rubbing elbows with the cream of the crop. Whoever said there ain't no room at the
guitar.
The song says it in an extremely roundabout way. That's the most concise line I could find to lay it out for you. But it's basically Harley saying she's smitten by Arthur and is having a hard time believing she's found a man as good as him. I mean, okay, that's a bit repetitive, but alright, the next number, when they're dancing on the rooftop.
I know somehow we tell a story that's true.
Okay, a pattern is starting to emerge here. This entire song is nothing but them saying, gosh, isn't it nice we're now a couple? And the repetitiveness of 3 songs back to back, saying more or less the same thing, is really starting to bore the audience. But as for Joker 2's 4th song, they finally vary things up and cleanse our palates by singing about something else.
I'm in love, and don't I show it?
Ha! Trickshire, it's the same. Of course it's the bloody same. In fact, there are 13 songs in this film, and 12 of them are just about them being in love. Most of the time not even saying it in different or even subtle ways, just saying it explicitly on the nose.
To love somebody the way I love you.
This repetitiveness is relentlessly grating on the audience's interest, meaning we start to actually dread when the next number will come along.
Here's Johnny.
And what's debatably worse here, we never needed music to tell us any of this in the first place. Their feelings toward each other are blatantly obvious. They tell us nothing we don't already know. So what do these songs actually add to the narrative? And this leads us to the core of why this film is just a terrible musical. Todd Phillips has no idea how to integrate music into a story, and that has all kinds of horrid effects on the work. But one symptom of that, every time a number starts in Joker 2, the story stops. As in, totally. When I was watching it in my almost empty cinema, and that one of them dancing on the roof came up, the guy 5 seats down from me let out just the most tragic sounding sigh, and he continued to do it every time a new number came along. I think he thought he was in an empty cinema, and he was just sighing extremely loudly, but I really don't blame the guy for that. He was sighing quite rightly in a way, because he was probably starting to get into the story, feeling perhaps a bit of investment. But then the singing began, and the story went, stop! This movie will resume after this 3-minute-long hallucination scene of Joker tap dancing, or prancing around a courtroom, or singing to a studio audience. Now is the perfect time to go to the toilet, because you won't be missing anything. So, as I said, there are 13 songs in this film. I'm saying 13 because there are technically more, but I mean, come on. Hearing a choir sing something muffled in the background, or Brendan Gleeson whistling when the Saints go marching in hardly count as musical numbers. So 13 numbers in the film. And you could delete 11 of them, and the story would still be cohesive. We'll cover the 2 exceptions in a second, but that's terrible. Not just for it being a musical, but it being a story. If you can ever delete 20% of any story and things still make sense, you should. Kill your darlings, make it 20 minutes shorter. Your audience will thank you for it. The fact you can delete nearly all of the music in this musical, and it doesn't just not create confusion towards character journeys and plot points, but it actually improves the story because it's leaner, begs the question, why is this a musical in the first place? A truly fantastic counterexample here to cleanse the palate, to restore faith that musicals can actually be good, is Phantom of the Opera. I say that because there's a love triangle at the heart of that musical, and despite that, there's a surprising lack of people singing out the words, I love you, unlike a certain film. Instead, the focus goes into showing the changing dynamics of the characters. Christine's terrified the Phantom of the Opera will come after her if she absconds with her fiancé Raoul, so their love song in that musical, and they only really get one, the story is very economical about it. It's about him offering to protect her, and her gaining the confidence to overcome her fear of the Phantom.
You're safe, no one can find you, your fears are far behind you.
But also, the Phantom's been eavesdropping, and immediately after, he sings about how she's betrayed him, and now we fear his retaliation.
How you've repaid me, denied me and betrayed me.
So we've got character development, relationship development, and plot development all happening within the song. That's a lot more utility brought to the story than simply saying, gosh, we're in love, and isn't that nice? Also, if you're not subscribed right now, please do, I'd appreciate it. And if you enable notifications, you'll be among the first to see my video all about why time travel is almost impossible to write well, why it's always such a headache of paradoxes and plot holes. From Harry Potter to Avengers Endgame, expect that one out soon. When you analyse good musicals more and more, you'll realise just how woefully Joker 2 falls short here. Pitch Perfect, for the record, in my top 5 films of all time. Don't you dare judge me, because I'm shameless about this one, because this film is perfection, and that extends to the way they integrate the music. Every song belongs. Take out one of them, and the story will be lesser for it. We've got 2 opening numbers. The first scene shows how great the rival a cappella group the Treblemakers is, establishing them as a real threat.
Please don't stop the, please don't stop the, please don't stop the music.
The second song shows how incompetent the protagonist group are. They're boring the judges to tears.
Oh, is it me or do we just take a left turn into Snoozeville?
They've really got to get their act together. So begins the underdog story, and from here on, it all serves purpose. Titanium in the shower is about Chloe helping Becca gain self-confidence and realising she's got a fantastic voice, and so on and so forth. Becca's been aloof and a non-team player for the whole story. So toward the climax, when they start singing Party in the USA, she's not joining in. That doesn't bode well for the final performance. Everyone is peer pressuring her as she faces a threshold. Is she a team player or isn't she?
And the Jay-Z song was on, and the Jay-Z song was on. So I put my hands up to play my song.
And Becca completes her character arc within the song itself. It's fantastic! Like, how is Pitch Perfect this good? And like, why are the sequels so bad? But a fundamental question that we can't ignore on this issue, and why I have asked it a few times already, why is Joker 2 a musical? And to answer that, why should anything be a musical? Les Miserables, like, why didn't they just make that a period piece drama? I reckon the answer here is actually dead simple. It lies in how music is a catalyst for emotion. The lyrics can be like poetry. The swells of it can take the mundane feelings of the normal world and uplift them into something greater. Take the scene, and it's one of the best scenes of all time, when Jean Valjean is being saved by the very bishop he robbed, and so the bishop gives him all of his silver so he can have a second chance at life. It is a powerful scene about the importance of forgiveness, and it shatters Valjean's cynical victimhood mindset that the world is out to get him.
You must use this precious silver to become an honest man.
Imagine if that were delivered straight, like any other drama. The moment would be less evocative. That musical touch, especially after when Valjean is mulling over his thoughts and reaching his epiphany, makes what was already powerful into something even more so.
I am reaching, but I fall. And the night is closing in as I stare into the void, to the whirlpool of my sin.
So really, if you're going to turn a story into a musical, I'd argue there's only one real stipulation. Do you have a good dozen key dramatic moments in the story? The kind of moments that, if given that musical touch, will elevate them into something even more powerful. That's the only thing to consider, if you ask me. The only thing that could be called a rule here. And still, Joker 2 somehow managed to break it, in the same way it broke me. Because when you line up all 13 of the songs in this film, 11 of them don't correspond to anything like character, relationship, or plot development. The music is there to punctuate nothing. It doesn't matter how good the catalyst is. If it's amplifying nothing, that's what you get. Only 2 songs actually fit the mold of what could have theoretically been a good place to have one. That being when they're trying to escape the asylum, and in the end when their relationship falls apart. Now, none of this actually answers that original question. Why is this story a musical? Well, in my research for this video, I found an interview with Todd Phillips, the creator. He was asked why he made the sequel a musical, and he said, "Why do something if it doesn't scare the shit out of you? I'm addicted to risk. It keeps you up at night. It makes your hair fall out. But it's the sweat that keeps you going." The question became, how can we top ourselves? And you can only do that if you do something dangerous. It's obvious that to a degree, he knew this was a bit of an outrageous creative choice. In fairness, a musical sequel to a non-musical prior film was always going to be a bit out there. But I get what Phillips is saying here. There is something to be said for stretching yourself as a creator and taking on challenges just a little too hard for you to pull off at your current skill level. Was it a mistake for Phillips to make a Joker musical? No. The issue instead lies in two things. Firstly, he picked the wrong story to be a musical. The actual story of Joker 2 is so very weak. Even Andrew Lloyd Webber couldn't have made this one work. The plot and character journeys just don't have enough narrative meat on them to support a musical approach. But secondly, there's taking on a challenge that's a little too hard for you and taking on a Herculean challenge so absurdly hard you're near guaranteed to fail. Why do I say that? Because that quote hits so much harder when you know the type of musical Phillips chose to do. If we go back to the start of the video when I was playing those clips, you'll remember me saying, the song says it in an extremely roundabout way. That's the most concise line I could find to lay it out for you. Why did the song say it in a roundabout way? Well, here's another snippet from a later song.
Everything that happens in life can happen in a show. You can make them laugh, you can make them cry.
She goes on to sing about her love later in the song because, of course she does, but those lines right there, are they pertinent? Maybe. It's about Harley and how she sees her and Joker's relationship as something fictional and not real because it's a show to her. Like, if you squint, you can kind of see that. But if that were the sentiment, it could have been worded in better ways. And there are many more moments like this in the film. The songs dance around the point and entirely lack the precision of the good lyrics of the better musicals we've just broken down. If these songs were transplanted into other, more fitting musicals, they'd work a lot better. It's almost as if these songs are stolen from other musicals. And, oh, hold on a second. They were.
Everything that happens in life can happen in a show.
Tonight I landed, pal, right in a pot of jam.
Tonight I landed, pow, right in a pot of jam.
I'm wild again, beguiled again.
I'm wild again, beguiled again.
They don't care as long as there is just a fool.
They don't care as long as there is just a...
You get the idea. All these songs are taken from somewhere else. Only one of them was actually written for the film, that being the rooftop dance. And to be fair, the lyrics of that one are quite concise, unlike nearly every other song in this film, and there's the rub. It comes down to how Joker 2 is a type of musical called Jukebox, and Jukebox musicals have a shoddy reputation at best in these circles for reasons that you can probably guess. If you're throwing in an ABBA song here or a Queen song there, how are you seamlessly integrating that into the larger story? The issue is, usually, you're not. Sometimes you are, but it's probably either like Joker, where you throw in a straightforward song to highlight a simple thing, such as a man announcing that he's fallen in love.
And I'm not alone anymore.
If so, congratulations, you've taken 3 minutes to tell the audience what could have been said in 3 seconds of dialogue. Or you're taking a more complex song and building your story around it to try and make it click. Mamma Mia gave this a good try with ABBA songs, and it does mostly work, but you've got the odd awkward line like when she sees 3 of her old lovers are back in town, which of course makes her sing Mamma Mia.
I was cheated by you, and I think you know when.
Only that song is about one woman in love with one man, not 3, and that line right there explicitly says that he's been cheating on her, which none of these guys ever did. That's the rub with Jukebox musicals. Look back at that Phantom of the Opera song from earlier. Oozing with purpose, each word hits with precision. It brings so much utility to the story. But the odds of you finding an existing song that brings that same level of utility, my god, the odds are abysmal. Though that's only if you're thinking conventionally. If you get a bit creative here, suddenly you can work wonders. A great example that comes to mind is BioShock Infinite. In that game, set during a wacky alternate 1912, they have a touch of jukebox musicality. You're walking around exploring the place when a barbershop quartet comes along, and they're singing this.
life would still go on, believe me. The world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me?
And that gets the player to think. Hold on a second, the Beach Boys weren't even alive at this point in history, so how the hell are these guys singing one of their songs? It really opens up the intrigue of the world. Then later, you're walking along a beach and you hear this tune, and it feels oddly familiar, but you just can't quite place where you've heard it before. Then you do. And it clues you into that same mystery. There's something wonderfully strange going on in this world. Those songs worked fantastically for the story they were in. Anyway, we've gone over how Joker 2's reasons for being a musical are tenuous already, but it gets so much worse when you ask this next question. Jukebox musicals aren't just hard to write, they're really hard to write. Like, even veteran composers hardly bother with pre-existing songs because integrating them well's bloody hard to do. So why is Joker 2 one? What is the actual artistic reason for it being this type of musical? BioShock had a fantastic one. For Mamma Mia, the entire appeal was recounting old ABBA songs, so that worked fine. But what about Joker 2? You could say, well, all of these songs were written before the movie's meant to be set, meaning they exist within the world, and that makes them a touch diegetic and of the times. But then the obvious counterexample to that, why not compose entirely new music that fits this story perfectly, just in the style of the 1960s? The Incredibles, while not a musical, did just that with its score, and it worked great for that film. Or alternatively, if the songs being ones the characters might know is still important to you, why not pull a Moulin Rouge and modify the lyrics so you have all of that and you're reflecting the narrative?
We should be lovers. We can't do that. We should be lovers, and that's a fact.
That could have worked really well. For the specific approach they took of just transplanting entire songs as they are, I just don't see any valid artistic reason for doing that when you had other approaches that would have had that of the times effect, only they would have worked better. From a pragmatic perspective though, it's perhaps because you at least don't need to worry about modifying music. It is the path of least resistance, not a good path, but certainly an easy one. So, Todd Phillips may have wanted the challenge of writing a musical, just not the challenge of actually writing any music for that musical. To make a musical of this type is a formidable challenge, one you do not take on lightly, certainly not as your first ever musical, Todd. Like, if you're making a student film or some personal project, it's okay to give yourself these absurdly tricky challenges for no other reason than getting practice. But doing so when the first movie wasn't a musical, and you've never done a musical before, and you couldn't be bothered to integrate the songs into the narrative, and you don't have a good enough story to warrant it being a musical, and the first story had $1 billion box office? That is just mad! It's just mad! Like, how? Oh god, NordVPN, fuck it, they've sponsored me. I use it all the time. I've often found myself doom-scrolling Netflix looking for something worth watching, but then I've realised, oh, hold on a second, I can just use NordVPN to change countries and see an entirely new catalogue. I do that all the time to watch so many shows and films I couldn't otherwise. For that alone, Nord's worth getting, but it's also fantastic for your security. Like, Nord also warns you when you're about to download any malware, as well as checking your sites for viruses. Like, NordVPN has so many bells and whistles. But personally, I found the ability to change regions is just a game changer for watching films and shows. VPNs are so cheap and it's such a quality of life improvement, it is a no-brainer to get one. It's the one I've used for years now. And if you'd like to join me here, just click my link down below, grab a 2-year plan, and you'll get 4 months for free. I'm dead happy with Nord, and I'm confident that you will be too. But if on the off chance you're not, they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk here. Give it a go, and if you don't like it, just ask for a full refund, and you will get one, no questions asked. If you're interested, do click my link in the description and get 4 free months of NordVPN today. Anyway, thanks for watching, keep writing, and I'll see you guys next time on The Closer Look.